Hello everybody, and welcome back to the LJL officially unofficial cast. I am Alex, otherwise known as Lexi. I go by Master One on the unit. I'm of course joined by the marvelous, the insatiable, the words that I use anymore, but I'm gonna say this time, they're comedic, because they make me smile even when technical problems are happening over here. Initialize and Nightmare, the Have Good Brothers. Please, as always, introduce yourselves.
Sorry, social distancing being practiced.
So,
I can't get any closer. Your ego has been inflated so much.
God.
Have you washed that hand? Have you washed that hand?
Fist bump.
Elbow bump.
Okay, well, we are also joined, of course, by our timeless producer, our timeless analyst desk here.
This actually feels like a job sometimes, God.
And now, we know that you'll be watching us as a blast from the past.
You will be.
So we get to, throw that out all the time here, because we'll be on recording. Which means that we can swear as much as we want and just say anything, and he can edit. No, he won't.
Full on.
I won't edit this. I will not clean your mouths out with soap. I will let you guys go down to the bottom of the
I have no shame. I'm perfectly content with having this in a VOD. It's exactly who we are as casters.
But speaking of VOD, of course, we are covering the Axiz versus V3 series, round one of, well, game one, series one of round one of the LJL Spring 2020 playoffs. And it's game 3, not game... Yeah, it's series 1. I tried to...
So it's round 1, match 1, game 3.
Sure, that one. I know about the game. I don't know about the playoffs. That's how it works. So anyway, 2 games have gone the way of V3.
Wait, no. I'm not letting this go. It's not like you did a podcast episode with literally an hour segment where we went through the playoff bracket. No,
well, I'm sorry.
You do not get to do that, by the way. Go listen to the
what I mean to...
It's kind of really good.
Look, I'm just going to bring this up on the screen for us as well. There you go.
Lovely.
There you go,
I'm sorry. I know how playoffs work. It's just that sometimes me speak bad, and this time it came out in full force. And we're in game 3. 2 games have gone the way of V3.
They have.
Looking to make V3 3-0 in this next game. 2 games have gone a little bit differently either way, but both very decisively at the end of it going the way of V3.
So as the ignorant host, as I love to play the part of, what is going wrong for Axiz? What they seem, especially in game 2, they got themselves into a good spot. They got Infernal Soul, and then what's happening? Can you explain that?
So we saw in game 1, their early game fell apart. They came into game 2, they made improvements. They'd stepped up in the early game. They came into their team fights having got themselves an Infernal Soul. A little bit janky for that sort of last fight. But then after they got that Infernal Soul, they could not be on the same page for a fight. V3 were pulling the trigger so much faster than Axiz were. They were together and kind of more decisively finding flanks than Axiz were. And Gary, Arrow, and Hyde, one or the other of them was being focused down way before Axiz could return any fire. And that was a really big problem.
And I think in game 1, my problem with Axiz was... they're overreaching. They were decisive, but they were overreaching. And in the game 2, they weren't overreaching necessarily, but they weren't decisive. They've ended up trying to pull back some of these different levels and trying to match them. They haven't found a sweet spot just yet. All of us predicted that V3 would win to differing levels of closeness. Us two here said it was 3-1, Lexi said it was 3-2, and there is merit to both those views. Right now, we're wondering if this could be very much a 3-0. We didn't predict that. We thought that Axiz would be a little bit more set up, but their team fighting is not on the same level of V3. They had a good early game in the second game, did not manage to close it out even with an Infernal Soul, and that is some big warning signs for Axiz.
So I want to ask the question. Our jungler MVP and our overall MVP for the spring split, the regular spring split of Boogie. I want to ask the question, how much of an impact is he having on these games?
Huge. Absolutely huge. His lead lane was deathless in that final game, in the second game there.
Yeah.
In the first game, he was at 3 to 4 levels ahead of his jungle opponent, Hoglet. I think that sometimes you have to say that the impact looks better because of the difference between them. And obviously, in both games, Hoglet has not really been managing to make all the big plays. In the second game, he did manage to kind of turn that around a little bit. But even around the objective fight, the team fights, Boogie has been fighting like a god. He's been getting flash kicks onto the AD carry in multiple big fights. And, you know, that's something which a lot of junglers struggle to do consistently, whereas Boogie is pulling it out every time.
And I think for myself and probably the rest of us on the desk here, Boogie playing well is not a surprise. That wasn't a surprise going into the playoffs. This is the kind of caliber player he is. This is a Worlds player. This is an MSI player.
Ex-Flash Wolves member.
Ex-Flash Wolves member. Like, this guy has been around. He knows how to play on the big stage and carry there. What I think was a little bit of a surprise is how well Ace has been playing. Yeah. He's had a couple games now where, he went behind a little bit in CS early on in the Rumble, but his roams were really impactful. His late game equalizers were really impactful. Paz as well had a quiet split, despite myself and I suppose other guys on the desk here as well kind of hyping him up coming into spring. He had a bit of quiet early part of the spring split.
Oh yeah,
End of that split, he was stepping up. He's coming into the last couple of games, found some killer flanks.
I mean, Paz was in playoffs last summer. Like this is a player who was top 3 top laners. And arguably throughout a lot of this has been kind of second fiddle to Ray Farkey, a player whose team didn't even make it to playoffs. And that just kind of shows.
As well, of course.
Well, and obviously Ebby, but Ebby's...
But everyone plays second fiddle to that guy.
Obviously.
They are the second shrimp in the cage, and yeah.
Yeah, never mind second fiddle. You've been demoted to Viola, my friend. And Abby is kind of that guy, right? He is the.
There are some people who are going to be very annoyed by that comment.
It was good. Come on. Yeah, it's fair.
I mean, we appreciated it.
All the jokes are there. Orchestra jokes. I'll bring them out later.
You could have said like a recorder or something.
No.
It's
a
viola.
It was. I was there.
Let me bring us back to this game of V3 versus Axiz. Are we expecting to see the same bans?
So V3 gets side choice again. It's been working out for them. They'll take blue side. I think that they'll still ban the same stuff. I don't know if Axiz want to ban out the Tom Kench again. I don't know if that's the most important thing to V3. I wonder if they just let Boogie have his pick of the litter and then try and target the rest of the map. I think that maybe you want to try and force Paz on something a bit secondary because he's been having a big impact.
So ban that set.
Ban set, maybe try and take Aatrox in the first couple of rounds. But then, I mean, so Paz has only played 4 champions this split so far. Maybe you can try and force something there. But then the problem is, do you let regular split MVP Boogie get Echo or something?
Ooh, but they let it through till the second round. V3 had the option and just then were like, nah.
They did, but and that's the thing, right? But then maybe they pick it up early and flex it between mid and jungle. I don't know whether Ace plays that pick.
Yeah. I mean,
there are options.
I kind of liked what Axiz did in the second draft, right? In that they did kind of take Ace away from his comfort. They took him off the champions, which he'd looked promising on, and he has apparently got another pick in that pool that we were potentially questioning.
It was less scary than Syndra.
It was less scary than Syndra, but it was still pretty good, and we're still roaming and we're still team fighting well. So that wasn't necessarily the weakness that Axiz were hoping it was, and that is an issue. Maybe you can focus on.
I also want to see Hoglet on something which isn't Rek'Sai.
I
think his Rek'Sai's not been firing off in team fights. His early game's been alright, but he needs something. I'd like to see him on something with a little bit more team fight presence.
Well, with that all said and done, I think it's about time we get into the pick and ban phase and see how these teams actually decide to progress this game forward. In match point for V3 Esports and Axiz trailing behind with 0 wins. Can they pick up that first one and get a little bit of momentum back on their side? And we'll find out in a few moments in 3, 2, 1. This is a blast from the past, ladies and gentlemen.
It's a blast from the past within a blast from the past, because of course this is now recording as well. So hello, future viewers.
Hello. It's a pleasure to have you. This is game 3 of V3 versus Axiz. We're here partly because of technical difficulties, alas. But that means that
the show must go on.
The show must go on, and we're seeing once again blue side for V3, red side for Axiz, and the same first 3 bans for V3.
It's also worth noting that this Nocturne was picked in... Well, the first time it was picked in the LJL, this split, was by Ace in the second game of the split in week 1. That was V3 versus Axiz.
And nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed. Axiz got absolutely... Got the crap stomped in a little bit there by the Echo Nocturne combo. And they are going to think about what their last ban will be. It is the same bans for the 3rd game straight for V3, and Axiz will be repeating their 2nd game bans. But this time, V3 first pick the Callista.
They weren't a fan of the objective control and the flexibleness it gave Axiz, and this time they decided, screw it, we can play it.
You know there's a very suitable word, which is flexibility, rather than flexibleness, that you could have used there.
I could, but I was there, so that's where we went.
Obviously, your
Thank you for calling me out on that one.
Your language is just a little too rigid. Maybe you need to work on your flexibility.
from a man who literally went, "I talk me no good." Not
No,
10 minutes ago.
I believe what I said. Sometimes me the talk bad. I believe
Oh,
that's something.
I apologise for not speaking pidgin, Alex, but here we are. I refuse to consider that English.
Hey,
misfortune and thresh.
It's yeah. So it'll be the new trade language. And speaking of the trade in the bot lane will be one of CC into bullet time. It's the misfortune and the thresh back for the side of Axiz. Hyde had a monster performance on the MF in one of the last few games.
He did.
And it's going to be passed back on set. So he's back on one of his 4 comfort champions, and this time Boogie is hovering at the right side.
Locked
Going to be
in.
locked in.
This
Okay.
is a little bit, I think, of mind games by V3. They're picking up 2 of those picks that Axiz were defaulting to, looking to try.
What strikes me as quite strange that V3 obviously have chosen to go on a different tack in this draft, while actually the last couple of games have worked out pretty well for them. Obviously, the early game of Game 2 was a little bit lacking. Axiz are going to lock in Lee Sin for Hoglet. We saw some huge performances out of this guy towards the mid part of the split, and of course towards the end of it as well.
Yeah.
It's very different for time. And so we're going to see the mirror matchup now between of Game 2's jungle matchup.
And largely Boogie's been getting the better of Hoglet. The second game, I think Hoglet matched pretty well in the early game, but come those mid and late game moments, Boogie was just finding his way through team fights that little bit better. And we've known this guy can do that, right? Like, his Elise team fighting of all things is pretty damn good. So when he's on something like Elise in, has those playmaking abilities, done that as well. See what he does on the Rex side. But this time we've got a couple bans in for phase 2. Syndra, Zoe off the board.
Did someone say blind pick mid laners? So that's what's being banned right now. We'll see what the next
ban will be a Rumble ban, won't it?
There's a chance of it being a Rumble. It is.
There we go.
Right. So, well, they know he's already pulled it out today. There's no need to speculate about other picks. So that will be the one which is removed. V3 with one last ban themselves. They could. I wonder what they're going to choose to ban out here. I'd like to see an Aatrox ban, I think, but Union looks more comfortable with that on anything else. It's actually going to be the Cassiopeia away from Gadiadu. Another one of those scaling kind of middle lane. Alongside the Syndra, but it's actually the Orianna locked in on a very similar kind of train of thought. Gadiadu had a pretty okay game of that against the Hawks on their loss streak. That was one. They almost broke their loss streak with that in the early couple of weeks with their wombo combo composition. Gadiadu on that Orianna in that game, and this time
back on Old Faithful. It is the Aatrox.
It's taken away from Unyan as well, right?
And we'll see what this is going to be. May actually, in that case, be the set mid. Actually, is what's going on. I just realised that's what likely it's going to be. V3 thinking about a Tarek to add in a Cosmic Radiance to join in all those picks.
Okay, all right. So it's going to be set support, and it's going to be Echo mid.
That makes a lot of sense. Callista set is a very famous duo in the bot lane. You throw that set in for all the Facebreaker, all the Showstopper. It means that his issue of being kited away is a lot easier to mitigate. See what the last pick is for Axiz. Probably a top lane pick. Thinking about the Camille, Unyan has already showed this and looked pretty good on it.
Yeah, so Unyan has defaulted back to the Camille once the Aatrox has kind of been removed from him. I think he likes the laning matchup, even if it hasn't worked out in all the games that they've played. Obviously saw the huge Unyan backdoor versus V3 back in week 5. He ended the game on 1-4-2, but that scoreline was not indicative of the impact he had on that game. He did have control of the sidelines and, of course, ended the game. Echo picked up.
He is.
If you told me Echo was going to be played in this series,
you would assume by Boogie.
I would not have said Boogie. I would not have said
Ace.
You
wouldn't have said Boogie. You would have been the 7th.
No,
you wouldn't have called it.
I would
have known.
No, I would have said Ace would have been like the fourth most likely person to play, because Gadiadu picked it against DFM, ran it with Hail Blades in the mid lane. Ace is picking it up now as well, and it's playing it alongside Boogie. Maybe Boogie can like play 2 computers at once, play both.
Yeah,
maybe that's the power you get from being regular season MVP.
Maybe that is the power. Maybe.
The power of time.
Maybe he's just pulling a little bit of No Game No Life, using his feet to play the second controller.
Kuhaku.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. We're gonna load into the game. It's just gonna be Kuhaku on both the mid and jungle.
That's it. So he's doing it. Either way.
And they said we didn't do anime references. We're into game 3.
It was gonna happen at some point. We finally committed to it. Split push and a full 1 from the side of Axiz, whereas a little bit more of a brawler comp from the side of V3 with all of the melee champion brawlers.
So Medic on the LEC cast in some of the clean broadcasts that we had from that the other night.
It was very clean.
Said that when it's like, effectively I'm gonna take this term from him. It's a submarine comp because it's dive, dive, dive. They have an
very Red
Aatrox.
October.
They have they have the Red Menace in the top lane in the Aatrox. They have Rek'Sai, they have a set Kalista, and they have an Echo too. They are all going forwards. If they get a lead in this game, don't expect them to take a finger if you give it to them. They expect them to take the whole damn arm. We're loading into the Rift 2-0 match point for
V3
V3.
as well. Nice.
Oh yeah, the Freljord one.
I did Black Frost.
Frozen Watcher?
Black
Oh, Black
Frost.
Frost. I was like, it's like the Watchers. It's pretty much Watchers, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that. I will say though that just to point this out, I have a
look at
problem
that
with calling it a submarine comp because there's already a submarine comp in League. It's already been claimed.
Nah.
Evelyn Shen has been a thing for years and years and years. You don't get to steal that name. It's too late.
Yeah. There's no invisibility with the shed on top of it, but I mean, it's still dive, dive, dive.
Yeah, I agree.
Unless you're gonna call, I don't know, like, is there something like Olympic diving we could go towards?
Yeah, I've got to think about that one. Was this like a triple tuck with
I
pike?
am-
I don't know. I don't know my diving terms.
I am not well aware of it. Well, you know what I am? More, in tune with something I know a little bit more about. Set support.
Yeah, tell me.
Run it with Aftershock. Do you have that, that very available CC of the Facebreaker available to you? Allows you to brawl very early into the game. Set, of course, having some pretty high base stats available to him with that effective Sheen passive on his left-right punches. They're actually going to fake a leash for Boogie on the bot side, taking a bit of damage there, which means that this Rek'Sai will be unscouted for the first buff of the game.
That is pretty huge. And of course, V3 running with double teleports, Rek'Sai and Echo and Aatrox. You can imagine that Hyde and Corporal have got to be sweating bullet times down in this bot lane. As Corporal takes a big face breaker, level 1 take there, as Archer dives forward to throw some spears into Hyde. But traded back onto that AD carry. But remember, AD carries have significantly less health pots than support, so probably a little bit even trade, even if the health bar trade, at least initially, went in favor of V3.
Good poke in from Hyde towards the end of that trade, though, means that Archer's actually going to end up on less than half HP. He does have the pot available to him.
Double up is so obnoxious.
It is. It was actually a straight double up, not going through a killed unit either. That would have been significantly more damage. Once again, the Hail of Blades coming out of Callister. It's not going to be the lethal tempo, which we've seen the likes of Gango pick up. He'll be playing in our second series of the day, whenever we get around to doing that sometime later. We'll see how many games it takes V3 and Axiz to go the distance, though, because obviously that we think that V3 are in a very good spot coming into this, and also Boogie finding his way down to the bot lane might get them off to an even better start, because I don't know if Axiz have pinged this out. I think they're going to get ganked.
He's level 2, yeah, they're going forward to Corporal, but here is that Rek'Sai coming straight forward, and it's just too late. First blood for V3. Look, the Lee Sin was just finishing up Gromp. Yeah. He was inches away from being in time, but that Rek'Sai cleared faster. And that meant that Hoglet was late to the party.
This is what the unscouted start does for an early game jungler. Boogie gets a huge gank to break the momentum of this bot lane. Means that the lane dominant pick of the Kalista will start rolling with the first kill of the game. It's another first blood for V3.
It is, and it's of course on nobody else but Boogie coming into that jungle, giving that blood over to Kalista, who's gone back for a Vamp Scepter at 3 minutes 30 into the game. And Ice actually gonna have to be a little bit careful. Takes a big trade.
He does that. Actually, Onyan was roaming down on the Camille. I wonder if Gallardo hadn't gone for that trade immediately then. Could have gone for a hookshot flash and then try and get an assured kill. But the mana was used from the Orianna. It's going to be a double reset out of the mid laners and back to a bit of quiet. Bit of quiet.
And in that quiet, how are you feeling about the team's chances so far in this game?
Well, Camille's been left largely alone against the Aatrox. That matchup will start to transform when we get to Triforce plus Tiamat. We'll be one to the back for a full Tiamat for a bit of wave push. But Boogie has already made his mark on this game. We know the effect that this guy has had on so many games in the regular season. And he comes into team fights just looking spectacular. And you will have, an Echo who is good to dive alongside him. And when you are on the front foot, like we were saying, it just makes your job even more easy, right? Because that is the tone of your composition.
Yeah, and that pretty much is. But speaking of tone of the composition, Hoglet here to try and return Boogie's favour, going for an alcove play. Boogie's top side, though, looking for a very similar play. Look where the control wards are, though. I think Hoglet is currently off vision. Archer, Reyna pushing up. They're going to ward, and that means that Hoglet can probably just pop across into this bush if he wants to. There he is. Oh, baby, this could be a really powerful gank. Does Corporal land the hook? Is he going to go for the flash? Misses on to Reyna. Is that just going to bait Archer and Reyna further in, though?
Okay, Hoglet has a safeguard back up now. That's the haymaker
Takes a massive Q, and he's in behind. Archer now has to burn the heal, but he's taking a lot of damage as this Lee's in. And double teleport! Suddenly it's all going wrong. Archer survives, hides in a bad spot. Paz flashing in for a kill under tower. Corporal sure to fall as well. No, survives, and now Ace in trouble. Hasn't got himself that Chrono Break yet. Hyde has survived as a 1-for-1 thus far, and Paz now stuck in a bit of a dodgy spot behind the tower, but late teleport from Yuan does at least get one back for that.
It does. There's kills to Camille. Like we said, this is one of the matchups that we want to watch. But Paz has managed to get the early kill himself. It's pretty parity amongst the top laners. But once again, Hyde is kind of forced into a bad spot. Has to recall, burned his flash in that as well. And Hoglet also dies in this fight, which means that this Lee Sin will not be having the impact that we saw that Boogie have in the last game on that same pick. This is, once again, a bit of a back and forth early game. Not the same stomp that it was in game 1. We did see it being a bit more even in game 2. I like that Axiz have come out to play, but V3 are certainly getting more tools to work with coming into the vid game because they are getting cert members with a couple of kills.
They are. Let's go into this replay, and I thought Hoglet was going to get this. It was a great flank.
Yeah, so Archer with the Halo Blades, early trading is a thing. They get a whole load of run stacks in, dodges away from the last skill shots to get away with that. I think if Callista had gone down, would have been a really good trade for the side of Axiz, being able to make sure they zone, well, they deny Archer a couple of waves of CS. Hyde gets in, gets out, doesn't get any kill assists, unfortunately, but does manage to come back to lane with at least a core fields, I guess. But it is against the Bilge Warder now, so laning mode is completely on for Archer. If Hyde dies here, it is so bad news, Bears.
So dumb, but Hoglet's here as well, and that was a really timely pink ward. Spotted Boogie out, who's hit level 6 well. That Void Rush available for all the executes you could possibly want. I also want to give some serious credit to Camille. Yuan found a great flash hook shot to interrupt the E from Ace in that last fight. Stopped him getting into that parallel convergence and getting the kill onto Corporal. So well played by him.
Oh, he's also going
to
take
now he's going to take so much damage. I think he's done no flash, no hope. Paz going to get the solo kill. Oh, Uyan.
Oh, the
no,
passive?
maybe not. He's got a fair amount of passive. No, the extended auto range is enough.
So you might ask yourself, well, why wasn't Paz recasting the Q and all this kind of stuff? He was just trying to make sure that the Hextech ultimatum couldn't be used to outplay in any sense of the word. It's going to be a kill to Paz in the top lane in the solo scenarios. Unyan, he just dies a little too deep there, gets the turret shots. We had been raising some question marks about his laning phase. He had a good teleport. He has normally been one of the better team fighting top laners when he has a lead. But in the 1v1, sometimes he can still suffer, even when he picks the likes of this Camille into what he assumes is a good matchup.
Corporal finds a blind hook over the wall. Well, spotted out realistically by that Scuttle Crab. But that's just it, as Hoglet solos out this Rift Herald on the top side of the map.
He does. And he also was the Ocean Drake picked up for V3...
after that bot lane fiasco, I'm assuming.
Well, no, just then actually.
That's when they were going for the invade. Okay.
When the kill came down for Paz there, so knowing that kind of the pressure had been alleviated on the top side, Boogie went and snuck that away. It does mean that we won't see another early Drake stack from Axiz here. Actually, Shockwave committed by Galeardo here.
Ace now looking to go forward. He's got a parallel convergence. Has Chrono Break. Boogie's thinking about going in. No, just means that Ace takes a big trade, and he's going to have to back away for now. Ultimate burn by Galeardo, but that's about all she wrote.
I actually wonder if Ace... I wonder if Ace could have got a double Chrono Break there and trying to get some HP back as well. But with the heal still available from Galeardo, that 2v2 combat summoner does tend to work very well.
Be a bit careful.
Unyan is here and does have the Hextech ultimatum. It's going to be plates and nothing else from the side of Axiz. Second time in this series that they've chosen to do that on the mid lane turret. I'm not sure it's the most valuable play you can get out of that objective because you can change the map state so very much with the Herald, but it is what they've chosen to do. It gets them a bit of gold. Does mean that Galeardo... It does. He got the assist as
that
well.
ward just went down. Boogie's
Speaking
here.
of accelerating,
Here
Set's
we
gonna go in.
diving in. There's level 6s available. It's not even needed. They're just going in.
away from Turret.
Showstopper was there. Corporal goes down to the Haymaker, and that's kills there. They're trying to trade back on the pass, but he's got a world ender, and Uinyan's already down at half HP. Has to be kicked away.
Yeah, yeah. So Paz threatening to kill the Camille there actually at the end of that play. They try and make a play on the top side, but it is not an even play. They don't get a kill. They don't get any plates. It's going to be a massive swing in momentum once again to V3, who are off to a very good start in the early game now. That first play down in the bot lane, I thought, well, maybe we're going to see some more fighting available from Axiz here, but they are kind of playing, they're kind of at the whim of V3, and particularly Paz on a lot of this kind of plays, but also Boogie, after having that huge unscouted start on the Rex side, making one big play, then another big play, and then having another dive onto the bot lane just now.
And it's kind of what this man does. He is trying to go for Olympic gold in the LGL on that dive comp. Has basically done it 3 games in a row.
Yeah, and also Boogie takes the blue buff with the red buff. So good job there. Nice blue handoff fail.
Nice blue. That's great. He's the carry now.
Look at me.
Garrett, look. Ace is down a number. He's down 25 CS.
I understand.
Down 25 CS. He is not the carry at this point. It's Boogie.
I understand. He's up. It's Echo. Echo is only a jungler. I am the person who plays Echo, so therefore Echo is the jungler, and therefore
figured it out.
He's handing off the blue buff to me.
Play.
He takes the blue buff away from his pseudo jungler, and is now looking to dive top lane with it.
Yeah, maybe looking to take away the life of Uinyan as well, who's put a pink ward down, but too late.
Oh,
you had the right thought, but actually no, it is now spotted. Okay.
Diving a Camille with the ultimate available, with flash available too. There's a lot of CC available to the Camille, means that the outplay is on the cards. Boogie not wanting to throw away that lovingly gifted blue buff.
Slows and stuns and repositions everywhere.
Yeah, and just doesn't want to give away the blue buff, and amongst other things.
Yeah,
it's just a little bit of a too high risk play, particularly with mid lane under threat as well. Ace had back through a reset, and there's 4 people in the mid lane from Axiz. Good lantern though to get Hoglook back away from the tower. It does mean that Reyna no real threat to shuffle someone back in with a showstopper. Yeah,
but it means that Guerrero has actually managed to find his way into a fairly significant lead there. I was kind of joking about it, but he's actually up about 30 CS.
It's huge. And the plates massive as well, right? And the plates.
And that is keeping Axiz mildly in this game, but
going
not anymore, I think, because Boogie has used that Void Rush to come in. The Q stop there was pretty good by Uinyan. Has to flash, uses the hookshot, does get out, but burns a lot.
He does indeed. So leading with the Rex ultimate just to get on top of the Camille there, does burn the flash, burns the ultimate, means that actually Paz is now going to be at the advantage in this 1v1 for quite some time. Hoglet just misses the Sonic Wave.
Gotta go for a teleport though, and now actually Paz could be in a bit of a dangerous spot.
No, he's fine. There's, like I said, there's no real follow-up available from the Camille now. Now that the ultimate's not there, he's going to sit around at a level advantage onto Unyan as well. Misses out on the tactical sweep. Paz is happy with this 1v1 now.
Yeah, tactical sweep available. Has got that Tiamat at least to get a little bit more shove. Is afraid of being dived under tower and has been put under that pressure a little bit from that. So I can absolutely understand why he has gone towards the Tiamat early just to ensure he has wave control.
He does, yeah. It does mean that you can kind of like you clear out the wave and then start fighting with minion advantages. Speaking of advantages, the bot lane was pushed in, or at least they had the priority there because the bot lane of Axiz had run back to their base to reset, and then coming back onto the map means that it does open up V3 to secure their second dragon of the game. It's a mountain dragon this time, and the rift will be a infernal for the second time in this series.
That's a big one.
It is, yeah. Infernal is one of those combat souls which does do so much damage for you.
Blue buff is successfully traded despite the lurking Rek'Sai. And while the mid lane is going very well for Axiz, the bot lane is down about a similar amount of CS for V3's favour this time around. And that means that Hyde and Corporal and Hoglet are around trying to defend this tower, but I think they're going to want to leave. They do back away, and that means more plates and an engage down to Guerrero, who flashes, but still ends up in a bit of a weird spot. Uses the R to get out. Shockwave used. Summoners both burnt to survive that Rek'Sai.
And that is a shame because obviously one of the tools that Axiz have available to them is the Orianna to get back into this game. The Shockwave being pretty big at this point in time with the Ludens completed alongside the Sword Boots, burning both Summers and the Ultimate. That takes some wins out of the sail of a potential comeback fight from Axiz, particularly with Earnyan being put down a little bit in the 1v1 as well. You have to really be ahead as the Camille to try and team fight. I think Axiz now just have to kind of batten down the hatches and see what they can do to stall out into the mid game.
Yeah, you can see big gold lead for that Orianna, up about 1,000 gold, but it's
2,000
2,000 gold for this
Kalista.
Kalista in the bot lane, which is huge. No, more than huge. It's absolutely monumental. That's
yeah.
massive. That's first tower, not all plates, but 3 odd plates, and a couple kills to your name. It's looking good for the side of Archer and Reyna. V3 up about 3,000 gold. Axiz do back away, trying to get a little bit of vision control around the Rift Herald. At least have got that Scuttle Crab, so we'll know what's going on around here. I don't know whether they want to contest. They are thinking about it.
They are. So Orianna doesn't have the ultimate or summoners available, so I'm not sure that... I don't know if Axiz really want to fight this.
He's in trouble, but did get out of the way of the attempt from Boogie, but he does flash, and that means the Blasco knocks him out, though. Nicely played. Stops what was an attempted really good play from Boogie, but the flash wasted in some ways. Earnyan survives. Right. Loses a bit of a HP bar, but this is about it. They're going in there. That's a big parallel convergence, and the flash isn't enough, and Hoglet goes down to Boogie, and the Shockwave flashed away from as well. Gary Ara's going to go down, and Kalista picks that one up. Showstopper back as well, and it's all going a bit wrong. Double kill actually on this Kalista. Hoglet's got himself a Sonic Wave onto Reyna, but I don't think he was. It's Earnyan trying to run away. The slows come in, but the hook shot is there. That is a 3 for none.
So I think Axiz fought before the item timings there. That's what I'm going to put that down to. They did have mid priority, and we talked about how Gadiaru did have the big lead there. He tries to get the Shockwave onto Archer, but he just flashes out and keeps running him down as the Kalista with the Martial Poise passive able to leap forward with each successive auto attack. That is a huge turn of momentum once again in the favor of V3s. Just keep on turning into this accelerator. Large amount of CC coming down from the set pulls people into the parallel convergence. It's not a bad bullet time, but it's just no way for Hyde to sit still and really do damage in the backline there. He has to try and fall back, but when you're falling back versus a Rek'Sai and a Kalista, it doesn't happen too easily. At least Hoglet and Earnyan get out alive, but it is a lot of gold, and then also the Herald to the pockets of V3.
Yeah, and right now we're looking at bounties for both Paz, Kalista for Archer, and of course, surprise, surprise, Boogie on the Rek'Sai side as well. These players are really performing very well at the minute. Yeah, Ace is a touch behind versus the Orianna, the control mage, but that's kind of it. And this Echo's still pulling off some nice parallel convergences, right?
Absolutely is, right? You know, that CC in that last fight was pivotal. Ended up catching out Hoglet very early into the fight before he could really start using the kick, try and get some damage onto one of the backline members. Looks like they're going to be able to threaten this mid lane turret. I think they're actually going to be able to take it. Yes, they are. Although Hyde just took 3 turret shots there. That might there's a teleport coming in.
There's a face breaker as well. And that means Corporal's kind of in a dangerous spot. No,
Ace and
use
Earnyan
of that massive Fate's Chorus because there's no Kalista. That is a big bullet time, though. And I think Earnyan and Hoglet will just about get out. Paz continue to go forward. So that's a big Darkin Blade. And the blink from Ace claims that life as they summon a Rift Herald in mid lane to push down and trade that mid lane turret right back.
So most of the time, those tower shots just end up meaning that you have to reset. This time, it actually means they lose the damn fight. MF is not in a position to fight
Ace
at that point.
forward still.
He's looking, fishing, and not finding anything at the end of it. Chooses to throw the fish back.
He does.
And,
that one's
or
not
the
worth
normal.
touching.
Yeah, no, the narwhals. No money on the meat market for that.
Nope.
No fish market.
Illegal whaling it may be, but V3 care not. They're going in, and the narwhals are currently in a pretty dire spot in this game.
Do you reckon there's a dire narwhal?
Dire narwhal.
So there are wolves and dire wolves. Is there a narwhal and then a dire narwhal?
Dire narwhal. A dire narwolf. What horrific! Like we've seen land sharks. We got land whales as well. Narwolves. Horrific hybrids of the land and sea here to claim us all, much like V3 claim the Infernal Dragon.
I was about to say, well, at least Axiz know they're in a dire situation.
Yeah.
So maybe they are. Well, they might not be dire
form.
They might not be dire narwhals, but they are narwhals in a dire situation. Earnyan at least will be able to capitalize and take out the top turret. Does have a Ravenous Hydra built up. Choosing to go for the full Ravenous Hydra instead of going for the Tiamat straight into a Trinity Force rush. A little bit different from the Camille. I guess it allows the longer side laning phase, which does allow you to keep topped up. It's a huge lead for V3.
It
is 6k gold lead
Oof.
at 19 minutes in.
Boy.
We rarely see that in a pro game. We see actually a big convergence of
they're
Axiz
thinking
members
about
onto the
it.
top side here.
They're going to try and get onto Archer, and they're here way before the side of V3. Boogie's going to try and get here, but going onto Archer, flashing forwards. But now Archer's in trouble. He has no flash anymore, remember. He goes down, but it's a shutdown. And Hogless, I think, is still going to die to tower shots. No, it does go down. Execute from Boogie, but now he's in the middle of nowhere. I think he gets shut down as well. That's a big kill for this
3 shutdowns.
They've got everybody up there. That's 4 kills. No, 3 kills. Paz is shoving in this bot lane, but it's a double kill for this Camille. Are they going to keep shoving? No. Paz trades this bot tier 2, but massive turnaround play for Axiz. It's still 5k behind. 4k, I suppose, at this point, maybe. No.
It's 5k.
It's still 5k. I should have done that myself.
30.8 plus 5 is 35.8, so that's a 5k gold lead.
It is. Look, doing math on stream is a mistake, and I try to do it. And anyway,
Math, you Americanism.
maths is what I meant to say.
Oh, I didn't hear.
Yeah, you did.
I thought you would.
Don't do this to me.
Turning to the dark side there.
No, we do that. Who would speak like an American, really?
Probably Americans.
Probably Americans.
Probably Americans.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point.
Yeah.
Alright, enough of that. Moving on.
So one
Great
thing which
play.
is interesting so from the last fight, the heal wasn't used from Archer, neither was the Fate's Call. He was just kind of soloed out there, and it meant that Arena really had no way out of the fight. He was in, then didn't have the Fate's Call to make his way back out, and yeah, huge play for Axiz to at least stem the bleeding, but bleeding they still are, and we'll see if they end up bleeding out in this game, because it would be them out of playoffs in the very first round.
It really would. And it's not just sort of the kills they're bleeding a little bit, it's structures. They're down 5 towers to 2 because, yes, they got that top tier 1, but that was pretty swiftly traded back by Ace, while Paz got that tier 2 in the bot lane. They're kind of running out of safe spaces to hide our Axis right now, no pun intended. And this Infernal Drake isn't up yet, but that will be sole point for V3. There is a long road back to being anywhere near competitive in this game.
And they'll be fighting around a 2-item Callista and an Aatrox who's gone Death Dance, which is, Paz loves to be a bit more tanky on his Aatroxes. He often goes towards something like a Spirit Visage as his 3rd item, as opposed to a Sterix. Going the Death Dance first means that he will be able to buy more time in the front line. He doesn't have the 20% CDR that you are afforded by the Black Cleaver, only the 10% from the Death Dance. But what that does mean is that, you do have the extra sustain. And if you're hitting multi-man Darkin Blades, that can lead up to a lot of extra HP throughout a fight.
Yeah, and it's not just that as well. We're looking at, that is a big thing for the Aatrox, but it's also the fact that V3 are running a double teleport, right? So Paz can be in one sideline with all those beautiful items,
and the
Ace can be in the other, and they can run 3-1 much more effectively at the minute than Axis.
But the big thing about the last fight is that they fought when they had no teleports available.
Right.
Ace couldn't make his way into the fight, even though he had the Chrono Break. The Aatrox was on the bot side of the map, so they got caught in like a 3v5.
Yeah.
And they lost the fight pretty handily. They're not at a point where they can just, have one person be really fed and then take on all comers with a couple of supporting members.
Not quite yet. It's not that far off in some ways either. Unyan hanging around in this blue side as Ace shoves onto the top tier 2, the last outer turret remaining for Axiz at the minute.
Yeah, the last one before they break into the base and the inhibitor turrets there. Unyan, is the beneficiary of most of these kills though. 3, 2, and 1 on the Camille. Almost build up towards the Triforce. Unfortunately, is up across from Paz, the Rock, Aatrox, of famous wrestling fame.
Yes. What is he cooking? Do you know?
He's cooking. Well, he's not cooking. He's dancing. He's dancing with death, as we said.
Yeah.
Having that extra sustain item does help in the side lane versus Camille as well. You can't really go for poke trades and make it into an extended lane where you're trying to chip people out and then go for a final all in. Paz will be able to side lane very effectively throughout this game now, I think. Particularly with the level lead as well, level 14 to level 13. Means that even though Unyan does have a lot of the kills, he's still not necessarily handily winning the 1v1.
Corporal got to be a little bit careful as the parallel conversions comes down. They're going to be still in it. Careful now. No, just a slow. They're going to try and get onto that because that Feldrick is about to come up in literally 1 second on the Rift.
Yes, and this is soul point, like you said.
Archer's stacking up, and remember, the Callista is there. It's not a free smite fight. Hoglet behind.
Ball carrier.
There's a shockwave available for Axiz. That's a big parallel convergence. Looking for the fight of V3. They found something. The Chrono Break used early. Axiz, Unyan now in the backline, shut down by a massive showstopper. Hoglet pulled away. Big shockwave, but I don't think it's enough because Boogie's in the backline. That's a massive bullet time, but it's not going to matter because everybody else is dead. Full Ace. They're going to turn back for this Infernal Drake. They're going to think about a Baron possibly on top of it as well.
And it's 3 kills for Boogie, and it might be 3 games for V3, who take a commanding 9,000 gold lead with an Infernal Drake. Axiz, once again, don't find the correct fight. This time they have a few more items to their name, but I wonder why you are deciding to team fight with a Camille who, even though did have the advantage, dove a little too deep. Once again, it's something which you said so much over this game and in this split even. It's going to be the Baron as well to add insult to injury and maybe be the final nail in Axiz's playoff coffin.
It is, and I think the Cinderella story might be coming to a close. The ball is over. The carriage is slowly, oh so slowly, turning back into a pumpkin. It has been close in so many ways. Axiz clawed their way back into playoffs from a massively difficult spot. We'll go back over this potentially game and series deciding team fight.
So Hoglet was looking for a flank with the Orianna ball, was spotted on vision, therefore VT choose to engage. They go into a huge choke point where Boogie gets all of those Q circular auto attacks coming in. Paz is very strong on the Aatrox too, and the backline divers do what they say and they dive right on top of Axiz. There is nowhere safe for the backline to stand against this kind of lead on the top side of the map. From the 2-0-8 Aatrox, 6-1 and 6 Boogie on the Rek'Sai as well.
Yeah, this has been another one of those games where Boogie has been pretty damn commanding throughout, and a very good performance from the bot lane as well. Looking very strong, 10,000 gold up, Infernal Soul up, Baron buff active for 2 minutes. This game may well end on this push. That's how kind of far ahead V3 are right now. Axiz looking for some last hope, another one of those miracle team fights to maybe hold this game, maybe hold on to whatever shreds of hope they still have left in this playoff series.
It is. And you know what's terrifying? Boogie, 2 levels up on his opponent. Paz, 3 levels up on his. He's actually the same. Boogie is the same level as Eunyan, who has been held down in XP, if not kills, in this game. The inhibitor turrets are still standing for now, but with the next waves crashing in, a Lichbane built up on the Echo, and Aatrox building up all of his AD, and just being tanky as all hell. This is probably going to be both of the side lanes going in the favor of V3. At least they managed to clear out on the top side, but it will be at the cost of the bottom lane inhibitor turret.
Yeah, and that inhibitor turret is down, and Paz is going to walk straight up to it, and I don't think anybody wants to mess with that dark in right now. Hookline does enter the Boogie. He's in trouble. Has gone down to his stopwatch, but I think he will fall here. No, he's going to try and Void Rush out, get a kill! No, it's shut down, because that was Misfortune who claimed it. I thought somehow, somewhere he turned it around briefly, but no, does get that one, and that is a massive deal. Kind of stops the shove in for now. It's a 4v5 for the foreseeable future.
It stymies the Baron, the end of the Baron. Only 30 seconds left. Didn't have the flash available. Builds up his stopwatch, which he just used there, into a GA at the end of it. But not enough, and not in time to save his life on that one push.
Nope, it wasn't, and Gariaru hasn't gone towards a death cap. He's gone towards the Spellbinder, because that's what he has available to him. It's that cheaper item purchase at 100 stacks. There is a team fight where that shockwave rips through V3. Maybe that's what they look towards, because they've held off for now. This game isn't over. It's looking oh so close. The darkness is closing in. The dreams feel like they're about to end, but Axiz aren't done. Not quite yet.
So, as always, there is a chance, because there is an Elder Dragon spawning. The game is not ended before that objective will be available, will be coming up sooner rather than later. The Infernal Soul on V3. But as we saw, the Infernal Soul does not always secure yourself a victory. Axiz themselves falling prey to that in game number 2. But you have to get to that point. You have to be able to reach the objective safely and then team fight around it. You do have Orianna's Shockwave. You do have Misfortune's Bullet Time. Eunyan can make some dents in the backline too, and with a good flash kick, maybe you can remove Archer from the fight. Sat at 4, 1, and 10 on the Kalista. But the question is how much is enough? How many people need to die from V3 in the initial engage before the fight is truly over? I'm not sure myself, but I think that if Echo survives, I think particularly if Kalista or Aatrox survive, there could be a lot of hurt coming in.
Yeah, I mean, on the side of Axiz, there are a few key items in Camille had reached her Ravenous Hider at 24, so got a stopwatch in inventory. Look at that Oriana with her 2 items. Misfortune as well at double crit. That is something. Maybe those bullet times can do enough work in a team fight. There is some hope. But then look at V3's inventory. There is some truly terrifying stuff in there. Look at the Callista with 3.5 items complete. You're looking at a Lich Bane, Proto Belt, stopwatch available for Echo on top of that needlessly large rod. GA in for Rek'Sai. Boogie can go for those more aggressive dice he's been looking towards. We've already talked about Aatrox and his Death's Dance. So
yes, we have.
Not looking all that hopeful for Axiz, as we're still in this kind of lull state.
Also worth noting
the game ending.
Also worth noting that Set went towards the Deadman's place, the first item as well. It means that with the knuckle down maxed out, he has a lot of gap closing potential. You know, that move speed coming through from the Deadman's plate. I've just got that stuck on my mind for some reason. It does mean that Reyna will be able to get thrown in and either pulled out and thrown back in by the Fate's Call, and then have the Deadman's plate. Boogie's found Hoglet here, but is spotted out in return by the Vision Plungers, going back to the more current state of the game. Teleports available from Paz, not from Ace right now, but it doesn't matter. They're all converging on this one location anyway.
And you know why that is. That Elder Dragon is spawning. V3 Boogie have this area locked down for now. They have got Reyna looking for a flank, got the knuckle down on the Deadman's plate active. You talked about how fast that guy could be, and they can't get it. They found a pick onto Archer. He's got still golden, but now Hoglet goes golden in return. The shockwave flashed away from it. It's a big bullet time, but Gary are having to flash away from that void rush that Boogie uses to slay Uya. Ace gets across the wall into the background to Gariaru, and I think this is all she wrote. Hyde struts away, but Echo is faster with his little blink on the E. Paz wins the world of Axiz. It's a clean ace. It's a clean series, and V3 are going to be moving forwards in the playoffs this time around.
Crushing down the mid lane inhibitor. It is V3.
No wave, but they don't care.
There's no wave, no cares to give. It's V3-0 on this day. Axiz, you did fight well, but it wasn't enough on the day. Unfortunately, this tournament arc is over for them, and V3 will be going through to round 2 of the playoffs. And as we come out of game, we see some happy faces on the side of V3, maybe some relief in there as well. Remember, they chose Axiz to be their opponents, and they did put away with them very, very efficiently. We're going to go back to our post-series thoughts now with Mass 1. 3-0, not what we expected. That's what we've got.
Well, that was a performance from V3 and the whole team. They all stepped up exponentially. Arguably, they had already been looking very strong over the last few weeks. Remember, they did
Cinderella. Story. They ran that shonen anime redemption arc, and they got to playoffs, and they put up a decent accounting of themselves. Game 2 in particular was pretty good. They found moments in Game 3 as well. They found some cool flanks on that top lane turret, for example, but in the end, V3's experience and their strength of roster kind of won through. But for Axiz, this is a good starting point. You could see the improvement through the split. They got better and better and better, and as they go into this offseason, they should feel proud. And as they come into next split, they should take the learnings they have from this and hopefully come back summer split for another playoff run if they can get there again and give a better account of themselves again.
And on the other side of this, V3 extend their winning run to 8 games. That is almost matching the regular season split of split run of 9-0 from DFM at the start of it. And V3, they looked nigh unstoppable. They had deep champion pools. Players were standing up. Paz had some great team fights. He didn't look weak in lane. He looked very strong in team fights. Ace, similarly, pulled out 3 different picks, looked serviceable on all 3 of them. He did fall a little bit behind in lane against Gadaudir in that 3rd game, but we saw him finish out with a double kill with style. And then, of course, the bot lane as well, Archer and Reyna being just stalwart, never really showing any holes in their play. Maybe got caught out once or twice in that game 1, but that was pretty much it. And they looked good on all 3 of their different picks too.
Now this raises the question, if you're Crest Gaming Act or Rascal Jesters, regardless of the series you have to try and you've got to match that kind of momentum, so you know you're going to have a competitive game against V3. That looks incredibly difficult to match right now.
Yeah, V3 are potentially one of, if not the best early game team in the LJL right now. They snowball so damn hard out of their laning phase, and Boogie turning up to just break open some lanes. I think Archer, Reyna, Paz, all showing they have strengths in those early fights. The use of the double TP, Boogie coming in on Rek'Sai, on Lee Sin, on Nidalee, on Echo, all of these picks where he can just destroy early games. And if you're going to trust in a player to do that, Boogie's definitely going to be right up there.
And I think the scary thing for me when you're looking at V3 is that they did it with variety.
Yes.
They had multiple champions that they could slot into similar kind of roles. I think we saw 3 different champions from Boogie. We saw 3 different champions from Ace. We saw 3 different champions from Archer. Reyna, did he have 2 games on the Thresh? Or was it...
He had a set game, a Thresh game,
Oh,
and a
sorry.
Tahm
So he
Kench
did
game.
have... Obviously I just forgot. So they had like 4 people who played 3 different picks in this series.
Yep.
They still managed to team fight very, very well. All 3 of the games ended up being dominantly closed, even though game 2 got a bit close towards some of it. And that is scary in a best of 5, right? Because then you're thinking there is no, oh, we just ban Echo and win. There is no, oh, well, if he's only good on this one like AD carry, then we can ban that. That is terrifying in a best of 5.
I would like to add a little addendum, in that what it is it's flexibility and variety in champion picks to play the same damn style. They just love to dive and play those early games super aggressively, whatever champions they're on. That's kind of their play style. But if you can't ban it out, and you don't have an answer to the play style outside of, say, banning things, then you need to be really worried versus V3, because if you can't match them in the early game, they often get a stranglehold on the game. We saw in game 2, when they were held to a little bit more of an even start, even a losing start, there were ways to contest them. They would go in a little bit aggressively for stuff. Ace in particular, Archer, Reyna could step a little bit too aggressively forwards. Maybe you can do something if you can win those early games a bit harder.
It is raising the question when it comes to pick and ban phase. I in my eyes, it didn't seem like V3 really gave any new information out. They just kept doing what they had been doing over the last few weeks, just better. From my uneducated point of view, outside of like, okay, now they can play Echo mid, sure, and like Kalista is a pick, but like this is kind of meta stuff that you've been seeing from the LPL. This is stuff that you've been seeing from other regions, so it's not groundbreaking stuff. So it's not really something that is going to hurt the potential armor or potentially affect them moving on, in my opinion.
I think that if you look particularly at Ace playing 3 different picks, when we've kind of criticized him for only having a couple of particularly good champions and looking, good on, I think that it's arguably his Echo was the least impressive of those games. Well, the Rumble also, the laning phase of Rumble and Echo were kind of whatever, but you don't play them for laning. No, you're playing for the team fights, and he team fought very well alongside his team. So, and for the Roams, So, and obviously his Syndra was terrifying. He went, 7-0, more than that. So I think Ace in particular, it's a very standout game to say, actually, this guy might be an issue now. I think if he goes up against Adia from CJ, if they win today, that would be really fun if he's on this kind of form again. Yeah. But then obviously, Archer has been the guy to normally... I don't think he played a game of Kalista in the regular split. It is confirming that they do play different champions. Varus, he played 1 or 2 games of, and he's kind of going back and saying, yeah, I'm very good in lane on these things. And then obviously, Reyna bringing out the set as well and making sure you can combo that with something like Kalista. All it does is ask questions about if there is another meta pick you're worried about and haven't seen V3 play yet. If they can pull out so much stuff today, what are they going to pull out in the next time?
Yeah, and that's the information they're given out. Maybe what they're doing is like, what a shock, they're going to dive bot again. No, I've never seen that one before. But is that issue is actually...
They're a VCS team!
Yeah. Well, they look at who they're basing their team around, and it is a sort of ex-LMS player, ex-LPL player, that kind of jam.
It's sort of working, right?
Right. And but that's the issue. Right? The information they've given out is that actually you can't just ban us out from our playstyle. And that's a scary thought that you could that's the information, is that there is more in this pool that allows us to do what we want, and I don't think you can take it away from us. You've got to have something more in the tank than just that.
Well, with that all said, that's going to actually close out this series, sadly, for Axiz and V3. That's our first match of round 1 completed. 3-0 to V3. Initializer Nightmare, any closing thoughts about this all?
I think that the winner of the next series needs to be very, very scared.
Yeah.
I think that V3 on this kind of form could take down Sengoku. I think that they could take down maybe DFM in a couple of games in a best of 5 if they continue on this kind of form. Obviously, there are a lot of moving parts to that. Maybe they will be figured out by one of the teams moving forwards. Rascal Chesters obviously have some very unique champion picks in themselves, and CJ have the man, the myth, the legend, Adia, who can kind of just take over a game by himself.
Yes.
And then moving on and against like the top 2 juggernauts, they've also shown that, you know, they came out the regular season strong as well.
Yeah.
So, but either way, I'm now looking at this and saying maybe it's not just like a 1-2 horse race. Maybe we got some more challenges.
We've seen the win condition for V3, and we've seen them make it look pretty lethal. The only thing that I have got some questions about is when they come up against a team that will lane against them significantly harder or beat them in lane, particularly in that top and bot lane, where they kind of got a lot of advantage today. Because if Boogie ends up with 3 losing lanes, not just potentially one kind of even come roaming lane in the mid lane, then are V3 in trouble. And we saw when they did go even, they were a little bit more fallible, even if they were team fighting well. But if they're going against Sengoku, who have been team fighting quite well and are offering a lot less opportunities for people who play teams to get opportunities in the late game. We're talking about DFM, who are just really good at playing the map and playing team fights. Maybe they'll run into more difficulties. But for teams who maybe aren't so solid in the laning phase or do have weaknesses, V3 will ruthlessly exploit you, and you need to be scared.
Well, with that all said, we were going to have a little bit of a break, but we will then be coming right back at you with CGA, Crest Gaming Act, facing off against Rascal Jesters in match number 2 of round 1 for the LJL playoffs in spring 2020. Thank you so much for watching.